Hey guys, Dolan Hornbeck with Tail Loss Fitness again. We're continuing on in our series of the squat. First part we talked about the virtue and integrity of a squat. So, keeping our muscles tight while performing the squat. The second one was how posture plays a role in both how we squat and pretty much in everything we do in life. So this part in the series, we're going to talk about what squat works best for you. There are three different ones. There's the overhead squat, the back squat, and the front squat. And so, and again, I kind of want to go back to this. If we looked at the last part in the series, we thought maybe sometimes we think about the skeletal system being brick upon brick, but in reality, it's more like the Golden Gate Bridge, where it's supported with columns from the ground, but there's also a wire structure that also keeps it suspended in there and held in place. That's much like the way our skeletal system is, where the muscles and tendons and ligaments keep our skeletal system suspended as it is. So that's just as important. So keep that in mind as we talk about this. So back squat, all right? Typically the back squat is everyone's favorite, but I'm just going to throw this out there right now. It is the laziest squat of all three of them. Reason being is I can just simply put that bar on my back and I can ride it up and down and have no virtue or integrity in my squat whatsoever. I could even do it with good form and have my spine straight up and down and still not have virtue in that, okay? Because what's happening is I have the bar on my back and there's a downward pressure that's just pushing, it's basically compressing my spine. And, there's countless articles now coming out that just say how back squats are really not that great for you. Front squats are definitely the better alternative. And because, again, of this like virtue and integrity that we're talking about. And the worst thing that I've seen is basically a guy who comes in and they'll do a back squat, they'll touch their butt to a bench, and now what compression that the bar has had going down is now getting equal pressure from a bench that's pushing it up. So what that person's doing is like the bar's pushing it down, and because the little integrity our spine has with the cartilage and the disc and our vertebrae to keep it from compressing is now going to be pushed both ways because there's nothing to support it from below. And so what's happening is like basically by the bar doing this, it's going to push my back out, and it could cause worse things to happen. Now, a front squat isn't going to do this as much. And simply because the bar's in front of our body, it's still going to cause a pressure down, but it's also going to cause a pressure forward. You might say, Dolan, well, isn't that kind of worse for our spine if I can't keep my body upright? Well, that's where I'm going to argue and say, now we're talking about the law of opposing forces. If the bar's trying to go forward and I'm trying to train you with integrity to keep that chest and elbows up to lift that bar and oppose it going the other way, I have now automatically involved my core. I've added virtue to it just by that alone. So now I have, by holding my stomach in and keeping my back, my erector spinae tight, like I'm actually now causing it to lift up, opposing forces this way, and we've now made lateral forces to occur, so it's not just a force going up and a force going down. We've involved our core because we brought in, let's say, that wire structure of the Golden Gate Bridge, and not just like an implosion where a building just goes, right on the inside. That's what oftentimes occurs to our body when we're doing a back squat, whether we realize it or not, whether we have great form or not. Now, I can even take this one step further and say the over squat is kind of the pinnacle of all three. But in reality, I will never tell a person to do an overhead squat if they have not yet mastered a front squat and maintaining that good posture. Why? Because anytime we move any resistance away from the center of our body, we've added the pressure to our core. So much in the same way, like if we coach deadlifts, that bar should stay right next to your legs all the way up. Because even if it's an inch away, we've added 10% more resistance to what it's doing to your central nervous system, to what it's doing to your spine. Much in the same way, if I lift a bar overhead and I squat through it, I've now put more demand on my core, which is a great thing. But if you can't do a front squat well, you'll never be able to perform an overhead squat well. So with that said, guys, if you still wanted to keep a back squat in there, you could do it, but I would recommend doing a 3-to-1 ratio where you do front squats 3 times more than back squats. because you've now worked on keeping your core tight, learning to keep that spine upright, holding that stomach in, and now you can actually oppose a back squat more rather than just letting it rest on your back and riding it up and down. Thanks, guys.